The world does not reward honesty alone. You can be skilled, disciplined, and ethical and still be replaced by someone louder, colder, or more strategic. This isn't because the world is evil, it's because the world runs on psychology, not fairness. Some people collapse after betrayal, humiliation, or loss. Others quietly absorb the lesson and evolve. They stop reacting emotionally, they stop explaining themselves, they stop playing simple games. They learn how power actually works. This kind of intelligence isn't loud, it doesn't seek attention, it doesn't argue. It observes, it calculates, and it moves only when the odds are in its favor. Today, you'll learn 8 psychological traits that separate people who are controlled from people who can't be controlled. This knowledge is not about harming others, it's about protecting yourself. Understand the game without becoming the villain.
Number 1. Calculated opacity. Power begins with information control. Most people overshare because they believe transparency builds trust. In reality, excessive transparency weakens your position. When people know everything about you, your plans, your fears, your motivations, they can predict you. And what is predictable is controllable. Calculated opacity means revealing only what is necessary when it is necessary. You are not lying, you are choosing not to expose your entire strategy. When information is incomplete, the human mind fills the gaps on its own, and those assumptions often work in your favor. People become curious. Curiosity leads to attention. Attention creates influence. Think about people who naturally command presence. They don't explain themselves constantly. They don't justify every action. They leave space. Their words feel heavier because they speak less. When someone asks a personal question, most people rush to explain everything. A strategically intelligent person answers briefly, then redirects. Not evasive, not rude, just selective. Your personal information is a resource. Spend it slowly. Number 2. Adaptive persona. Effective people are not identical in every room. They understand that communication is not about expressing yourself, it's about being understood. Adaptive persona means adjusting how you present yourself based on who you're interacting with, without changing who you are. You already do this naturally. You don't speak to your boss the same way you speak to your friends. You don't speak to a child the same way you speak to a colleague. The difference is intention. Some people use one communication style everywhere and wonder why they constantly face resistance. Others observe first, then adapt. Analytical people respond to logic. Emotional people respond to tone. Practical people respond to usefulness. Visionaries respond to ideas. This is not manipulation, it is social intelligence. Like water, you take the shape of the container without losing your essence. Your values remain fixed, your delivery adapts. When people feel understood, they relax. When they relax, they trust. And trust opens doors. Number 3. Strategic detachment. What you fear losing controls you. Attachment creates vulnerability. Detachment creates clarity. This does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop being desperate. People accept bad treatment because they're afraid of losing relationships. They tolerate disrespect because they fear conflict. They remain silent because they fear rejection. Detachment removes leverage from others. When you are willing to walk away, your negotiating position strengthens automatically. The person with alternatives always has more power than the person with needs. Emotion clouds judgment. Detachment restores perspective. You begin making decisions based on long-term outcomes instead of short-term comfort. The paradox is simple. The less you cling, the more people respect you. Confidence is not believing things will go your way. Confidence is knowing you'll be fine even if they don't.
Number 4. Silent leverage. Real power is rarely loud. Those who constantly assert dominance usually lack it. Silent leverage is influence built through position, patience, and restraint. Instead of demanding authority, you become indispensable. Instead of pressuring others, you wait while circumstances shift. Silence unsettles people. Most rush to fill it, often revealing more than they intend. When you pause before responding, your words carry more weight. When you don't chase validation, others seek it from you. In negotiations, silent leverage comes from options you don't advertise. In relationships, it comes from consistency without neediness. In professional settings, it comes from reliability without self-promotion. You don't announce your value, you demonstrate it. Over time, people adjust their behavior around you without you asking. That is real influence. Number 5, psychological echo. People want to feel seen before they want solutions. Psychological echo is the ability to reflect a person's deeper needs back to them. Most people listen to respond. Strategically intelligent people listen to understand. Every individual carries hidden fears, unmet needs, and unspoken desires. Their words are signals. Anger often masks insecurity. Complaints often mask frustration. Confidence often masks fear of inadequacy. When you respond only to surface words, you miss the message. When you reflect the underlying emotion, people feel understood. Instead of correcting, you acknowledge. Instead of arguing, you validate experience. Once someone feels understood, resistance drops. Then, and only then, influence becomes possible. This technique is ethical when used to build trust, clarity, and cooperation, not to exploit vulnerability. Understanding precedes leadership. Number 6, ambiguous morality. Reality is rarely black and white. Rigid moral thinking fails in complex situations. Ambiguous morality does not mean lacking values. It means prioritizing outcomes over appearances. Sometimes being kind enables harm. Sometimes being firm prevents greater damage. Leadership requires decisions that won't always look good, but work. The key question shifts from, does this make me look good, to, does this produce the best long-term outcome? This requires responsibility. You accept the consequences of difficult decisions rather than hiding behind moral comfort. However, boundaries remain essential. You define what lines you will never cross. Within those limits, you act pragmatically. Effectiveness without ethics becomes corruption. Ethics without effectiveness becomes weakness. Balance is power. Number 7, controlled exposure. Once information is revealed, it cannot be taken back. Controlled exposure means choosing what others know about you and when. In an era of constant oversharing, restraint stands out. Mystery creates attention. Attention creates value. This applies socially, professionally, and digitally. You don't reveal all capabilities at once. You don't share your entire story with everyone. You don't broadcast every thought online. Instead, you allow information to surface gradually when it adds value. This creates momentum rather than saturation. People remain curious, your presence retains weight. Controlled exposure is not secrecy, it is timing, and timing changes perception. Number 8, outcome obsession. Arguments don't win lives, results do. Outcome-focused people don't seek to be right, they seek to be effective. They ask different questions. What result do I want? What action leads there? What actually matters? Ego-driven people fight battles that don't move them forward. Outcome-driven people conserve energy. They choose impact over appearances, progress over pride. This mindset creates efficiency. You stop mistaking effort for achievement. You stop confusing activity with advancement. You become flexible in methods, firm in goals. If something doesn't work, you adapt without emotional attachment. That adaptability is rare, and rarity creates advantage. These 8 traits are not weapons, they are shields. They protect you from emotional traps, manipulation, and wasted effort. Practice one trait at a time. Observe how people respond. Notice how your own behavior shifts. Power without awareness corrupts. Awareness without action fades. True intelligence is not domination over others, but mastery over yourself. Stay strategic, stay grounded, and stay in control.